But she went and got medicine today. I figured she would. To her, it's her choice.
Am I allowed to have this, or is that reserved?
Oh, you gotta ask the boss.
He's gone. I just thought.
When the warden's away, the mice will play, right?
Oh, I've got one.
I've got an agenda.
I've got the last
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
The next day I said, okay, I'm going to give you more.
Yeah. I'm done with
We don't know. We can't eat them, I know that.
It's been since the hurricane. We bought them, they just haven't tried them.
Are they going to do anything or?
Yeah, they're gonna
I
replace.
see another 8,000 across the tractor.
All right, thank you.
All right. I think they got 3 of them in so far.
Huh?
They have 3 of them in so far. They're working on it.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Make sure you keep the headlights on the car. No, but the headlights on the car. You know, there are a lot of country roads, you can go miles without lights.
Who cares?
Here's the.
What's the name? What?
You come down on to the lights. I worked in Leo
I know.
10 years.
Here, they like it. They're all the time.
I look at them, I go, of course, I'm like, it's like things like around here.
No, outside lights.
I've worked every day, you saw me on Monday.
The church.
Church?
Or-
Church?
As far as I know, yeah.
They got a plot.
I don't, which land are you talking about? What are they? I don't know what land you're talking about.
I thought the land at the other end of Orange River, inside 35.
There's gonna be a coffee place, but I don't think they're allowed to do it. There's gonna be a Starbucks.
Oh, that's outside. That's outside. Sorry. It'll be a couple of years.
And they didn't warn it.
Well, I heard one house that you on the other side of the highway, but the main complaint about the whole intersection there is only one way in and out.
And why I was.
So that's why that gas station.
I looked at him and I'm like, really? It wrote it in their posters. I was like, are you kidding me? Roll stripes at me. I was like, are you kidding me?
I'm not allowed to get up and speak anymore. This meeting. I get yelled at.
Well, then the one day, I looked at you, look at that. She's like doing ballerina. She's in a full stretch, and I'm like. It's called crisscross applesauce.
They still teaching those 2 words.
You said that they didn't put a letter.
Today was like.
Hi, Tom.
No, he knows.
No, Billy Jack. Hey, your turn. We got a birthday. You're not gonna take my father after dinner? He's younger than you are. You old. You old. Yeah, I am. How are you, Robert?
Hey, just snug it there, okay?
How long are you here for this time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
Now, what was you in today? But I don't have my other one. That other, to get the rest of it. But I think it's 2 something. That's what we spent today, plus the more. We won't have that.
Take my name.
I don't have that. I think it's 220. I've seen my.
Not now. I gotta go back to this. When they saw me make
You had to ask back then. You had to ask back.
Glad you're out.
I'm up here, Jack. You be safe, Jack. How are you guys?
You knew that was coming, right?
I'm not surprised.
Yes. Came and watered all my plants on the slate down in the corner. Take it out. Right.
Because that's right. Is it? And any increases start to push through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Right.
But I'm paying people to make sure I don't get
Okay.
Who told you?
Yeah. All right, no problem.
Good evening. We're going to call this meeting to order.
On the back. Second one, there you go. On up higher. There's a switch. There you go.
I'm still mechanical. No, you're not. There we go. Okay, we'll start with that. Call this meeting to order of the Pine Ridge and Fort Myers Association monthly board meeting located at 4801 Lakeside Club Boulevard. Today is September 20th. It's now 6:33 p.m. and we'll start the meeting. First order of business, let's all rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First on the list, I want to take a moment of silence. Robert Pignatoli passed away this last month, and I believe a lot of you knew Robert. He was a character and well loved by all in the community. He's been here a long time, and we're going to miss him. So let's bow our heads in a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, let's see, Ann's not here. Eric, would you call the roll?
Sure. Ann Irvin and Bob Tolles are absent. John Mount,
Here.
Bob Geisler, here. Tom Trino,
Here.
Bill England,
Here.
Michelle Camp.
Me too.
So we've got 5 out of 7, so that is a quorum. And you can go ahead. It was properly announced.
Okay, didn't even get to ask the question. Okay, next up is our open forum, where residents are allowed to speak. Eric, do we have anybody on the list?
So the only person that signed up to speak is Jolene has a social club update. Do we want to hold that for the committee times?
Yes, let's wait till committee. Okay, the meeting minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a motion to waive the reading of those minutes?
I make a motion, we waive the reading. of those
I
minutes.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passed. John, just remind me, please turn off your cell phones, me included. So we're not interrupted. Thank you. Okay, first, our next order of business would be the president's report. And I think it's obvious to all Bob Tolles isn't here this month. He's up in Michigan visiting family. I think he'll be back Friday or Saturday. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out tonight. This president's report will be brief. I'm actually not the president, as you're aware. But I just wanted to highlight a few items. We had a record attendance at the Labor Day picnic this year. I think that's just awesome. The number I heard was 87 people, which for off-season, that's incredible. Also, since the last board meeting, we've had 2 potlucks. Last month, it was on the Saturday after the board meeting, and this month it was just this past Saturday. So we had that once in a blue moon of 2 potlucks in 1 month. Both of those were well attended, considering the time of the year. We also had a karaoke night that again
What was that?
karaoke.
Oh.
I always get that wrong. For those of us from up north, it's karaoke. Oh, yeah. Minnesota has karaoke.
You don't sing.
Yeah, nobody sings. Okay. Also, in case you weren't aware, tomorrow our Comcast rep will be here, and there's going to be pizza for everybody this time. And they got 1 pizza. They're going to cut it into real small pieces, so there'll be pizza for everybody. But if you have questions for them or whatever, they'll be here from noon to 1:30 tomorrow. There was really no other board business during this month that required the board outside of the day-to-day operations, which are all handled by our property manager. So I have very little to say on that accord. Let me remind everybody that your board of directors is here in an advisory capacity, and basically our responsibility is to set policy for the association operations. And we have a property manager to handle the day-to-day operations. And we all know who that is. And we're gonna move right in, give Eric the floor for his manager's report.
Okay, so it's good to see everybody. The rain stopped just in time, that was good. Starting out tonight, I want to make some announcements. It's going to be changes in dates, administrative stuff that you're going to want to know if you follow along with us at the end of the year. There's a lot of business that we have to administer in this final quarter of the year that we're going into. The first one is the budget meeting is going to be postponed, just like last year, from November to December. So at your budget meeting, instead of the 3rd week in November, you'll get your budget, or your budget meeting will be the 3rd week in December. I'm sorry, will be the December meeting, which is going to be also rescheduled to the 2nd week, to the 13th, rather than the 20th, because we know a lot of people for Christmas, it's cutting it a little bit close. So budget's delayed a month, and the December meeting, to not conflict with Christmas, we have it December the 13th. Then January 17th will be the election. So you'll get your budget packet in November. In November, the board will vote on the budget. In December, And in that month of November through December, if you decide you want to run for the board, we do need candidates. You'll have the opportunity to run for the board. Then in December, you'll get the full annual meeting package, which will include the ballot and the proxy. So now's your chance to volunteer, get on the board. Now's your chance to vote. These next 3 months, 4 months are going to be big. In January, the first week of January, we'll probably have a meet the candidates as long as we have enough candidates running. And then January 17th will be the election counting day. And I know you guys remember from years past, and we don't have, unfortunately, a few of our counters that we've had for a long time here with us anymore, but we will need usually about 10 people, depending on how many people run for the board, to volunteer to count the votes. And I think having it in January actually worked really well last year, that more people got to see it live. But the main reason for this change is just timing. We've got an insurance settlement that I'll talk about a little bit more coming in, a reserve study that's going to factor in, and obviously an insurance increase. And I put a little bit of information about why prices go up. This is what they feed to me, so I'll give it to you guys so you can see. We would rather send out a correct budget that and take our time and do it, take a little bit longer and do it right, and make sure that all of the variables are factored in, because right now there's significant unknowns. To put out a plan for next year just wouldn't make sense. So hopefully the extra 4 weeks will give us enough time to parse through that. Another thing, another reason, the reserve study is another thing that we'll be talking about, but the reserve study. So I've been reviewing with the engineers and reserve study specialists on reserve study, and we use a method of reserves called component reserves. Basically, like we have a line, pool furniture is going to cost $20,000. We buy it every 20 years, so we have to save up $1,000 a year to have $20,000 at the end. Now, by doing that, the community members in total are laying out more money up front, because you're saving up from the beginning all the way to the end, where you don't necessarily need all of that money at once. There's two methods of reserving: component and then pooled reserves. And we'll be showing you some information, but there's highly advantageous for both the assessments coming up for the maintenance fee and for the community in general to have hundreds of thousands of dollars locked up into something that might not be done for 20 years, and when you can have this pooled program. And I think Bob Geisler, is that the way you did it when you were treasurer at yours, or no? Okay, that's one of the ways we're looking at. It's and I think it will work well. It will take a vote of the people though to change it. So you guys are going to be voting on that, and that is another reason why we might need that additional time.
Is that going to be done at that December budget meeting, that discussion about that, or is that a separate?
But I think we're going to get everybody up to speed on it beforehand, make sure everybody understands what they're looking at, and that you're actually achieving the same result and not having to pay as much at once. But we'll have meetings. This is literally like breaking news. The reserve study part just found out. So next month I'll give you a lot better detail and show you some graphs and different things and how it works out. Talking to myself, you can hear me? So the budget is a tough one. Bill got the job. He picked a good year to take the job as treasurer.
Please don't kill me.
It's not funny.
There's just some challenges. There's good news and there's bad news. So the reserve study, if you stick with this component method, the way it looks to me is it's not that advantageous to us. I do think we're gonna get an insurance settlement. I didn't think we were gonna, get much, and you know, they've been delaying our claim on purpose. Well, on purpose. They've been delaying our claim for whatever reason. So a couple weeks ago, I was about 10 o'clock at night, and I was thinking about this, how this guy can get my emails and get my calls and be in business and just not call me back. Like, you know, sometimes you don't get back to the people the same day, like, but within 2-3 days, you should get back to them, minimum, you know. So I figured, maybe I'll call him right now. So it was 10:30 at night, I called him, and I said, his name was Mike, I said, hey, Michael, this is Eric with Eric Ray with Pine Ridge. I'm giving you a call. It's about 10:30 at night on Thursday, whatever date it was. And I said, I figured I'd try you at night since you don't answer my phone calls during the day. Maybe you work at night. And I said, anyway, I guess you don't work at night either, but I'd like to hear from you tomorrow before noon. And I hung up. And at 8 a.m. the next morning, he called. So now I know what to do, you know.
So the moral there is answer Eric's call when he calls you.
And he verbally said to me that we should be seeing proceeds in the $200,000 to $250,000 range, but I don't know what that is to go towards. That's after the deductible. I think most of it actually is these ancillary items that we added after Hurricane Irma that they probably wouldn't normally cover. I wish I had the complete details here to send you. It's still waiting for its manager's approval. Got 671 drawings if you want to see the houses though. But we're looking at that. That's a first payment at $250,000. I think if they found that much damage, and they have every incentive to not pay us anything, there's probably more there or was more there. So we're having that looked at by some insurance experts, insurance adjusters, and want to make sure that the community recoups everything that it can. It laid out a lot of money removing the debris and removing the, and leading to temporary repairs to the roofs. And Ian was a bad one. And we definitely probably have $100,000 at least invested into it. And that is money that's not budgeted. It comes out of our surplus. And we've always had a real healthy surplus. And that's what's allowed us to kind of supplement the dues and subsidize the reserves. And keeping that component method, but we'll have to see where it all shakes out, how it's supposed to go and be spent. But looks like a big chunk of money is coming in, and that's good news. It looks like we may be able to get a little more than that, which would be even better news. Last month we announced that Pamela left, Sarah started. Sarah, she's learning, she's doing a good job. Go easy on her. It takes her a little bit to learn. If she doesn't know the answer to something, she will get back to you probably the same day. But she's doing very well, and I don't think she'll have any problems when she learns how it all works. Landscaping, I know that was a big concern of everybody's last meeting, and I want you to know that I had all of the company bigwigs. It's down to earth. About Yard was a family owned. They were a pretty big company with 40 employees and 35 communities, whatever. But compared to Down to Earth, they're in half a dozen states. They're a big company. So the person we deal with is the president of the Southeast region of, that's the head. So I had him come up. I had his Fort Myers branch manager come here, and I had them bring us a new account manager because I said we don't want to see the old one here anymore. And so our new account manager, he seems like he's got a lot more experience and is a lot more on the ball. We had an issue where there was a little damage accidentally that one of the landscapers did this week, and they responded about as quickly as you could expect for something like that. So I was very happy with that. And noticing them bringing in more the type of trucks that I would like to see us have, more first class type of equipment. And it's getting better. I'm not going to say it's an A+, but I'm going to say it's getting better. And let's keep an eye on it. Let's keep them on their toes. Let me know if you see something wrong, but let's also look for some positives and maybe try to change the perception a little bit. You know, I'm not happy that Avant Yard is not the landscaper anymore and that they were bought out by this other company. I'm not happy that they changed the crew on us either. But you know, in this case, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, literally. To go ahead and terminate a long time relationship, and I have a feeling the bids, we've looked at some of the cost sheets for this, the bids would probably come in a little bit higher than where we are even now. I don't think is the move. I think trying to work with them and educate them and bring them up to our standards. One of the things that I pointed out in the meeting with them was something behind Green Cypress, and he said, you know, this is the vice president of senior operations, and said, you know, that's probably something that the new crew just didn't realize they were supposed to do. And so that's probably why it's a good idea not to change crews, or if you do, at least have the old crew. You bought the old company. They said, you have everything. Get the old crew up here to show them what to do. This is not. So later on that day, I saw about every white Chevy pickup in Fort Myers parked in our auxiliary parking lot there. And I said, oh, I'm either starting a showroom or something is going on. And he must have had every manager in the Southeast region here and just probably waking them all up, because it's probably not only us. And when you're a big company, there's a lot on the line, I can't imagine. You know, especially the pressure when you're acquiring these other companies to make sure they keep the customers happy, because that's really what you bought, you know, is the customers. The old lawnmowers, you know, those are nice to have, I guess, as long as you keep the customers. But so let's start looking for the positive there. The labor, I still see some people out there working that are a little bit slower than other ones, and there are labor issues in the market right now, and that's why you're seeing some different people. But they are doing better. It's getting a little better. Roofing, we have some roofs that we want to have done this year, and we have some set up for 24 that are scheduled for 24. We're working on a plan where we can try to coincide it, you know, with 23s and 24s at 2 batches done, kind of at once, now that we're at the end of 23. But, and I do have many bids from many different companies that I am analyzing. The thing that I'm waiting for, honestly, is the insurance money to see if any of that is going to go towards these villa roofs. Most of the ones that had the damage are the older villa roofs. And those are the ones that we may be getting some of that insurance money back on, which means we'll be able to do more sooner, and that's better. So I'll try to have a plan for that, hopefully by next month's meeting. Like I said, it ties back to the insurance segment a little bit. Light pole installation, we've got 3 of our poles in. We've been bothering the electrician every day. He says he's going to be having more, or doing more, and I expect to see him probably tomorrow and Friday, and Saturday too. Hope you guys don't mind them working on Saturday, but I told him it was okay. And we want to get those lights back up as quickly as possible. We also know there's some poles that have dim lights. I know where Joan lives on Windsor Club, those 3 in a row. And that actually could be an electrical issue, so it's all 3 at the same time, but I think we'll go ahead and put new lights on at the same time, so that way it can't be one or the other, you know, because I would hate to find ourselves in that situation again. That's all I have to report on tonight. I'll have more details on most of the topics I brought up for you next month, or sooner. If I get some stuff sooner that I can send out, either by mail or email, I'll do that.
Thank you, Eric. I just have a comment. Sarah, I think, is doing a good job, and she's very personable and outgoing. And that really adds a lot to that job. Eric can to know, but having the right person is really critical. So you did a good job. and that higher, Eric. Thank you. Okay, next, Bill, do we have a treasurer's report tonight?
Yes, we do.
Do we want to just skip it, or?
Yes, we do. Okay, the treasury remains stable. As you know, inflation in conjunction with a high spike in community property insurance premiums, in addition to making sure we have adequate reserve, is going to mean an increase in our maintenance dues, which I've said this over and over. But how much it's going to be, it's like Eric said a while ago, it's going to depend on some of these factors, what monies we get back and so forth. So hopefully by November, we'll know for sure. Hope to get that out before then. Over the last 3 months, the number one question has been asked by so many is how much is the increase going to be? And like I said, I don't really know at this point. And I hate to say that, but I don't want to tell you something that's not true and tell you it's going to be 20%, then it ends up being 22%, or it could be 15. I don't know. So we're still working on that. We are in the thick of budget season, and I would like to be able to give you guys a solid answer, but we currently have a great many variables that are not resolved to give you an accurate count. The variables remain reviewing the operating budget with committee, the Hurricane Ian insurance settlement and its allocations, reviewing the method we use for reserves. Currently, we use reserves individually for each component, regardless of cash flow. I've scheduled a budget committee meeting for 2 p.m. this coming Tuesday. And the people that were here the last time, please show up. I didn't send an email out, but we've got it posted on the all the mailboxes. And sure would appreciate it if you'd all show up, and maybe at that time, Eric and I can give you an overview of what we've seen today about it and get this thing moving. The purpose of this meeting will be to review and finalize a proposed operating budget to the board. The reserve budget is going to take some more work, and we are currently finalizing the comprehensive reserve study that we have been working on for the past several months. It may seem like we're working slow on this budget, but Eric has been really working hard on this, and I've been trying to give him my input on it too, and we work together, and we're trying to accomplish a whole lot of it in the background so that it won't take so long. When it does go to the committee, they'll have the majority of it should be done. Eric, Tom, and I had a meeting this morning with the engineer who is completing the reserve study, and there's a lot of information and detail that we reviewed and will be followed up on. One thing is that is clear to me is that we need to move away from a component reserve budget and start pooling our reserves. And he said that he had very few of the communities today was using the component that we're using today. He said just about everyone is going to a pooling. And what I got out of that, and the easiest for me to learn and understand what he was saying, is we have all these buckets with money in it. And this bucket is allotted for this amount, and it can't do nothing but that. And like Eric said earlier, it may sit there for 5 years and nothing ever happened with it. So with the pooling, it allows you to basically putting all that money in one bucket and divvy it out when it needs to be, instead of leaving it sitting there where we could be making money on it by putting it in a CD or whatever, but it's just sitting there and we can't touch it the way it is today. So, I mean, is that what you're?
And it's a pretty scientific formula, and it goes year by year, and you can like even see certain years you're funding over 100%, but that's because you're anticipating the expenses of the following year, and then you'll see it go down. That's because you just did a whole bunch of roofs that year. So they did a nice job. We just haven't had a chance to really read the whole thing because we literally just got it.
We just basically got it in this morning and we just throw a couple of us together with Eric so we could look at this, because we had no idea what it was gonna be either, and I didn't until
I've
he
been
made the
working with them,
presentation.
making sure they have all the information. It's been a lot of stuff. As Bill was talking, I was just thinking, I've been on that computer too much. I like to get outside and see everybody every once in a while. I haven't been out there.
Are you?
Yeah.
And I apologize for him not being out more, because I pretty well kept him tied down trying to get this done. Since I will be organizing with Eric and our legal and accounting teams on this information, and we will move and hopefully we'll move in this direction so we can be fully funded. We can fully fund our reserves while paying much less towards them each quarter. Hopefully, it will go down. We'll see. We will need to vote as a community to make this change, and I'll have more information forthcoming. Next year, due to the Surfside law, we will be required to itemize components specified in the structural integrity review study, which the law requires. And that's another study that we have to do, and we have to pay an additional fee for that. But this company that we have now doing the study for us now has
The way that structural integrity reserve study is from the Surfside building collapse, the law that they put into place. So basically, all the critical infrastructure items remain. I kind of like it as a hybrid type between pooling and component reserves, because your critical infrastructure, your painting, your roofing, your all of those items, they're going to be reserved line item by line item. But the more frivolous things that we reserve for, we have a lot of reserves that a lot of communities don't necessarily have, like mailboxes or pool furniture or many different things. It allows you some flexibility. You might not need the pool furniture at that time, but you could use the money for this and replenish that. So it's kind of a good thing, because it will protect structural integrity and infrastructure is something that we know is of critical importance. And then the other stuff's important too, but it's a little more fun.
and that has to do with the 3-story buildings. But it's what,
It only relates to the 3-story buildings. Some communities are doing it on the 2-story buildings. They have buildings like us. I don't know. The law says 3-story buildings. To me, my inclination is follow the law, but I would see what the engineers say when that time comes, maybe next year.
that's what we'll have to decide. If we're gonna go ahead and do the 2 also, we may do that. We haven't really decided at this point. It's important, a lot of it has to do with the time involved with it and the monies also.
And that's that SIRS, they call it SIRS, Structural Integrity Reserve Study. If
hard
you've
to
read
say.
any of the articles in the newspaper, and then they had to change it a bunch of times because they didn't have enough engineers or time.
Okay, and I look forward to meeting with Tuesday with the budget committee, and we will have additional meetings to discuss the proposed reserve budget once we have all reviewed the reserve study. And we're going to hopefully get together the board in a workshop to what Tom was talking about this morning, to make sure that the board understands exactly what's going on, because we have 3 members of the board that's on the budget committee, but we need to make sure that all of the rest of the board knows how to explain this also.
We're going to make sure everybody's comfortable, everybody's questions are answered, and the main thing is that everything is covered 100%, whenever anything happens. Popped in my mind when Bill was talking about the reserve study, but one of the things that we never did reserve for, but that I've asked them to add, is underground plumbing infrastructure. Last year we had some serious underground plumbing infrastructure problems, and earlier this year we had one that wasn't quite as serious. Thankfully, it didn't take quite as much to fix, but that can be quite costly, and having a reserve for something like that, especially as the community is getting old, just like me. Yeah, so the same age. No, we're both 38.
You want me to hit him?
We're both 38. But we want to be prepared for that, and you don't want to get hit with $12,000, $13,000, $20,000 bills out of nowhere and not be ready. So having some money towards that in the pool of reserves would be very good.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and thanks for all the work you've been putting in. I don't know if you realized that when you took this job, but you're doing a great job.
Hey, I thought it was easy. Come into the meeting, that's it.
But it's been trying, and I appreciate everybody's help, especially Eric's, because a lot of this is new to me. I've worked with budgets, but they've been a lot different than what this one is, 20, 30, $40 million budgets. But this is more important to me today than what those were then, because I've got to live with these.
Bill, if you're looking for a raise.
Yeah, can you double my salary?
We're paying you time and a half.
Okay.
Developing and working these budgets up from scratch is very difficult. And it is a lot different. I mean, even though much larger budgets, Bill had to deal with in his career, he wasn't probably generating those from scratch. He was probably working within them. That's mostly what working within the budget. But from scratch, it's tough. Scott left us with everything that he had, other than he was supposed to hang around and help us out with it. And that didn't end up happening, unfortunately. But and we miss him. But we're going to do the best we can and carry it on. So just know that we're looking at every possible way to make sure that you don't lose 1% of quality of what we do here and the minimum cost increase. We know everybody is in the same position. Everybody goes and spending more on everything, and we don't want that here. And it's sad that a few costly items can really drastically change it, but we're going to do the best we can to mitigate that.
Thanks again, Bill, on your vote. Okay, we're going to move along to the committee reports, and I think we should start with the social club, being that Jolene is already here and ready to go. Thank you, Jolene.
You missed Jeopardy.
Okay, so the social club last meeting was September 5th. And by the way, I'm standing in for the president because she's under the weather. Like Tom said, the Labor Day lunch was a great success. And we have something new on the horizon, so we're going to give you a little taste of that. Okay, so if you look at the table in the front, we have it all lit up. Okay, and we're going to have, go ahead, I got to read my paper now. We're going to have Light Up the Night this year, and that is, join us in remembering our family, friends, and pets as we line up our walkway with holiday luminaries on December 2nd. This is the way to honor those we have lost and miss every day. So, the luminaries are these, and they're going to be $5 per luminary. There's no limit. We may have a work day and say, hey, anybody available? We need help. Because we have to put the sand in the cups and write on our little jobbies. The deadline is November 25th. Sharon is the chairman, and her helper Suyako, but Lorraine and I are helping also because someone's going on vacation and won't be here to help us. So it will be going in the mailing, the October mailing from the office, along with November, December, and January's activities will be in the mailing. So everybody can find out what's going on at the beginning of the year. We have a 5-piece band coming for New Year's Eve. And there are papers. We have papers if you'd like. There are more by our calendars. And our next social club meeting is October 4th at 6:30 We'll have karaoke on October 8th from 6:30 to 8:30. The monthly ladies lunch is October 18th at 1 o'clock, to be determined the location, so check the board. Monthly potluck will be October 21st at 6 p.m. And there will be no monthly potlucks in November or December because the two holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, take their place. And October 28th is our craft fair from 9 to 1. And our hot dog sale will be from 11 to 12:30 that day. So that's my report. It's nice to see everybody here tonight. And so we hope that everybody has a great season and we're headed in that direction.
Thank you, Jolene.
Geez, you get applause.
Huh?
I think this community wouldn't be what it is without an active social committee and community, and that's what makes it so easy and welcoming for people to make friends. And thank you, Lorraine and Jolene and everybody that helps with the social committee. I know almost everybody in this room does something or is an officer at large, but really, that's what makes Pine Ridge special, is the fact that we all care about each other. That's important.
Eric, I couldn't agree more, and I tell these folks all the time what a great job they do. And that Labor Day party is a prime example. This room was just packed, and everybody had a great time. So thank you to all the folks on Social Club who helped out.
And that, as someone who lives in a gated community, not a retirement community, but a gated community, it's not a community like this. It's not. And even Sarah noticed shortly after she got here, she said, wow, the way you have this community, it is just, the people care about each other. They're so nice. And it's really great that we're able to have that. And that sense of community is so important. So it's never.
Okay, so moving along, the website committee, just to point out, everyone in the community should be on the directory on the new website. If you don't show up or you look for somebody and they're not on there, please let me know. Shoot me an email or give me a call. But everyone should be on the new directory now. And you'll see we have more, I think we have 462 residents, and there's a little over 500 members on the directory. Well, some of them end up listing twice, husband and wife. The partners both will be in there, or there's a trust involved or something, so the numbers don't quite add up, but it's better to have more than not all. So anyway, on landscape, anything new? Nothing new. Go in there. Thank you, Bob. And lastly, safety. John?
I actually had a note for John too.
You want to save me for last, because I don't have the sunshine that you guys have. You got Michelle? You got anything?
Go ahead.
The only thing I would say is I'm still trying to promote the saving money, since we can only impact our dues by either spending less or trying to save. So the saving, I've got a flyer in the back about saving water. If we all just tried to save like even 10% of what we normally use, it would have a great impact on the budget. And just saving, I think we said even saving 10% could be about $24,000 in a year's time. So, that's like real money. We don't have frivolous expenditures, so that doesn't help the budget. But I'm just trying to, this month, I'm going to promote the water. I'm going to be working on some of the other areas. And I also just want to remind everybody, check on your neighbors. People live next door in your building. They don't have family that comes. If you haven't seen them out and about, just knock on a door to say, hey, is everything okay? Since we are a community, let's just check on our neighbors. And this time, that's all I got.
Thanks, Michelle. John, you're up.
So listen, I'm truly probably the bluntest guy up here. Don't expect to get a big check back from the insurance company. Don't think that we're gonna not get scathed. We're gonna get not what we're expecting. So that's my point. I'm telling you,
What they said is not
I
even
don't
close
trust
to what the
insurance
premium, the
companies.
premium's almost $1 million, and they said maybe you'll get 200,000, and we don't know what it's for yet, so he's right, he's absolutely right.
So, safety and lighting, Eric already stole that thunder from me. I'm hoping that they're here, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm tired of seeing no lights out there. Now I'm going to another place. I'm tired of hearing rumors. So we have residents here who love to tell stories and stir the pot, which in turn scares our other residents. I believe that these people are unstable. You could be paranoid, schizophrenic, and starting to lose it.
Oh, my goodness.
If this person had any, it's below the waist, they would step up to the microphone and state their case. But they don't. They would rather use our dog walkers, our coffee clutchers, our ladies in the pool to do his bidding. Grow up and grow a set. I'm tired of the rumors. If you have something to say, come down to the board meeting and say it. Another rumor started by same individual. The house that we are rehabbing is in progress. Please let me call another rumor and assure our community that none of our 7 board members are willing to go to jail for an alleged kickback. And again, let me state, let me state that you cannot listen to a disgruntled resident who loves to create stories to incite our residents. Please go to our CAM manager, Eric, or any of the other 7 board members if you have questions. Don't believe somebody that's telling you stories all the time. And last but not least, this has been a 6-month process and we're still nowhere. We still have a con artist that's still squatting in our community. This is shameless. And it hurts all of our residents. This person needs to go now, and her host, who is allowing this, needs to wake up. We do not need 462 con artists coming into our community and causing problems. Once we open the door for one, we open it to everybody else. You see Chicago, you see New York, you see California. If we allow that to happen, you won't have the same community. Again, thank you for coming. I'm Johnny Sunshine. Again, and if you catch somebody speeding, please give me the license, give Eric the license plate number. If you see people coming in a black 300 Dodge, dumping stuff in our dumpsters and garbage cans, dial 911. If you see somebody walking the path that are young people that you've never seen in our community before, dial 911. Trespassing, please. We can only we have to work together. I'm hoping you all got some sort of camera, ring camera, anything. As you see, last night over here in Lehigh, there was 2 kids standing in a driveway trying to pop open a guy's car, and they had just stolen another weapon from somebody else's car, and they were trying to figure out how to use it. Can you imagine if they discharged that weapon towards one of our buildings? So please, you have to stay on your toes. I hate to be the bad guy, but I'm telling you the truth, watch your back.
And we've had accidents like that. The other side of the lake, thank God they weren't tragic. Thank God. One note I have for the safety committee was our surveillance up at the front entrance, the video, the whole control panel, took a surge. It was fried. I didn't report it last month because I didn't want everyone to know the cameras weren't working. But I was able to get it replaced under warranty. It's about a $3,000 part, and we just had to pay the labor. So that was a good one. And we're back up and running.
Thank you, John, for your inspiring and uplifting words. Seriously, appreciate the bluntness, and you're absolutely right on target. Okay, that completes our committee reports. Moving on to old business.
I think I may have already.
I think Eric covered the insurance. Any other?
Well, we're always forgetting about that leak report.
Oh,
We don't want to forget about that. That's the only
Bill,
one
you have a
that's-
lake
it's the
report.
only one that's scientifically tested.
Amenities and lake report.
Yeah, and I don't know how I could follow that eloquent speech that he just gave. But our lake is finally getting some water and it's starting to come up. We're still probably a couple of feet low from what we were at this time last year, but it is looking better. You may notice some of the stuff floating again in the algae, but it's not the blue-green or blue or whatever other color it is. It's breaking up because of the rain that we've got, and the wind breaks that up and moves it up, and it just pushes on out. The birds like it, and the fish eat it also. But otherwise, the lake, the quality of the lake is good. It's not as clear as we would like it, and that is because we don't have a whole lot of fresh water that comes in from the bottom of it. There's very little comes in there. That's the reason we depend on the rain more than anything to keep the lake where it's at. We're due to put some fish in there this year, but I don't know if we'll put them in or not yet, because the other ones are still in the process of getting up to the right size that they're not getting eaten by all the rest of them. There is a small alligator still out here running around. It's about 3 foot long now.
The same one?
Pardon?
The same one?
Same one, yeah, he's still out here. A person the other day told me that he's seen it while he was walking about 5 o'clock in the morning. He's seen it laying on the path, which is catching the heat, you know. The new invasive species that we have here now is the Jesus lizard. There was a report on TV the other night about that, and it said it was invasive, but it didn't say whether you could get rid of it or not. So we don't know. We've let it go at this point. We've only seen one, but there is one in here, and it's wild.
Is it a lizard that walks on water?
Yeah, it's a
That's
Jesus
what they
lizard.
call it.
Yeah, and it walks on its back feet, you know, and down the path, and it's
It looks
quick.
like, it looks almost like a skank.
Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, you know,
Not the bad eating.
anyone has any suggestions on what we can do to improve the lake or to add to it, just let me know and we'll see what we can do with it, if we have any money left.
Does anybody know how many toads have been killed to date?
I know we're up to
200.
258.
258.
Somewhere between 250 and 260 toads.
Yeah.
Thanks to Kathy Fox and her
Oh,
toad squad.
and.
Yeah, thanks to you ladies, and especially Kathy. She's out there most nights on her own.
It's over 250.
258.
That's what I was thinking was, yeah.
We should start a
That's
service for
awesome.
them.
Yeah.
And who knows how much that saved us. Okay.
Well, it saves us maybe a dog's life. That's the most important. It's not about the money, it's about the dogs. you know.
Right, exactly.
Since we had the rain, she'll probably be out tonight. So,
Probably.
She will.
yeah. Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, second order of old business was the update on the landscaping. We pretty much covered that too, I
Yeah,
believe, Eric.
yeah, I tried my best to address everybody's concerns with them last month. I know Bob has been tied up, so he wasn't able to be out there with me. But hopefully you guys are seeing some improvements. I certainly am seeing it. It's not, what we had, but it's getting there. So let's keep an eye on it. Anything they miss, please point it out to me. I'd rather correct them sooner than later, so they get in the habit of doing things properly. I noticed, one of the things I noticed that I really took up with them was, you know, a lot of times you can tell the houses where the people are not home and they're up north. And one of the key ways of telling is because the bushes are trimmed. And I do not want them learning who's here and who's not here and deciding to trim based on that. Everybody has to be trimmed consistently. Everybody, you have to do it all consistently. You pick up those bad habits and they don't just go away. And we have to teach them right. So.
Okay, and we don't have any scheduled new business. So at this point, we would go to the question and answer period. If anyone has a question or comment on anything that was discussed tonight. Tom?
I guess I got 3 items. Number one, I'd really like to thank you guys for all the work you're doing. It's wonderful. Secondly, Bill, you just asked if we would comment about the lake and if we got ideas about the lake. It's nice that our lake is healthy. I'm really glad you're keeping it healthy. It would be really nice if we could see the bottom of the lake. And if we put some bubblers in there, we tried lake trail once before and it didn't work. And if you put bubblers on the bottom of the lake, you don't see the bubblers, but it'll just clear it out so you can actually see the fish and see the lake. And I know it's expensive. I'm not sure how expensive it is, but if we could think about that, it would be nice.
I know in the past we've looked at it because the fountains they say provide some aeration, but they're more decorative. Yeah. The problem wasn't that it was so expensive to do some, but to actually do it properly for a lake this size, that made it expensive. You needed like a lot of it. So that was, I don't know if it can be done in a certain area where people, like by the dock, people.
Yeah. We looked at that and the person that we talked with, he recommended putting 6 of them in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 3 of them was like $11,000 or $12,000. So it was, we were looking at probably $20,000 to $25,000 to do it. And this was 4 years ago. I had De La Vega, which is the guy out at the place. He came out and done a study on the quality of the water and the oxygen in the water, and it was all good. And I asked him, how can we get it to the point where you can see the bottom of it? And he said, until you get more water coming into the lake, until you have a more of a plants or what exactly, around it to put more oxygen in that water, you're always going to run into that problem until you do put those bubblers in. And there again, I mean, it's something we can look at and start looking to add money in the budget toward that, and it may be another 2 or 3 years down the road before we get that money.
Maybe we could do it over a long period of time.
Yeah.
But anyways, just
I don't know the water clarity was that big of a concern, but I can ask. I mean, there might be an environmentally friendly chemical treatment that can be done to clarify the water a little bit. So I can ask them.
You can, but it's short term.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
The main thing that I'm concerned about is the reserve study. The last time we did a reserve study, I was treasurer, and I want to commend the board for doing a reserve study again. It's about time, we really need it, and it's good that you're doing it. I hope the next time you'll explain a little bit more about exactly how the component reserve study, the reserve will work. I'm very concerned about that because the way it works right now is we've got a pot and a pot and a pot, and we're saving money for example, the roofs. And when it's time to do the roofs, we know we've got the money there. If we've got one big pot for everything, it's really hard to keep track of the money.
Well, yeah, it's got to be done properly. And the roofing is a structural component, so I would probably stay in the line. But like say like the paving of the roads.
Sure.
If that's due in 25 years and we have $350,000 saved up for that, for another 25 years, that money's just going to sit there and we can't use it for anything that we want. when it does, and it shows with the percentages. I'll show you the charts. We're gonna have some workshops and explain everybody. It almost is exactly what Tom compared
Yeah,
it
it's
to.
like your mortgage escrow
Thank you.
account, same
Yeah.
thing.
And if we can,
Okay,
if
I'm
we can
still
get-
here.
I think we really need, especially if we're gonna vote on it, we need a clear explanation of exactly how it's going to work.
Yeah,
Because it's very easy to say, oh, we've got this big pot of money, and it goes down and goes down and goes down, and then all of a sudden we gotta pave the roads and we don't have the money to do it. And so using the component method has got some real advantages, but our component method is so structured that you can only want to use money for this, and it's very difficult to move it from one place to another. I would suggest keeping the money separated, or at least to think about, keep the money separated, but loosen up the rules so the board can say, well, we need, let's say, new walls around the dumpsters. And we don't have that in the reserve pool, so we'll take some money out of this and some money out of that and do that. But at least we still know where the money is gonna be allocated.
let's sit down and look at it on
Yeah.
Monday.
Okay, that's why I say we just need a good explanation for
Yeah,
maybe the next meeting.
yeah, because I'm almost what you're describing. I mean, I was never a big fan of this way of reserving, but when you look at how much less money you all will have to pay, and that you're gonna get the same end result, it really does work out. As long as the boards follow it, that's the other thing.
I think
Subsequent boards after these guys have to continue to follow.
I assume we've already got certificates of deposit and this money is invested anyway. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was new for us too, because we just got that today, and looking at it.
It's not about moving any money that we have out, it's
Yeah.
about not having to collect as much.
One more comment on that. Donna Drossa brought up a very similar example. If any of you have ever had a mortgage or have a mortgage now, it works just like your escrow account for your taxes and insurance. You put in a certain amount every month, and then when the taxes are due, they just automatically pay them from that escrow account. So that the balance in that account goes up and down. When you pay a big bill, it goes down a little bit, and then it builds up, and you pay another bill, and it works. It's very similar.
Instead of 1 year, this will show you 30 years.
Right, this is a
And
30 or 40.
shout out in order of need. It's tax time, the property taxes have to get paid, comes out of the escrow now.
Right.
Not 2 months from now, not
Right.
3 months from
They
now.
take care of it, so. Any other comments or issues? Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting? So we adjourn, yes.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
I'm glad my brother-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he is and a phone.
It's gonna just be free.
Good help.
Hey, good.
When you came home, we texted me,
Now I'm getting up to 6 hours.
we got 7. Monday.
Hey, Sue.
I don't know. What? The other one's in the shed? You just put them on the fridge and I'll do them on Monday.
So, yeah.
I want to find out what she, can we leave?
Put them on the fridge and I'll deal with them on Monday. I'll put them in the shed. Right.
I don't want to find out.
Either one.
Can we have them all?
The social club.
She didn't have a sticker. That one was.
Thank you.
Yeah, just put them on the fridge and I'll
I
put
got her
them on
license.
Monday.
Oh, really?
I gotta put them out in the shed.
When was this?
Friday night. Friday, she did something with the,